Hello everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again. And we're now going to talk about Arsenal and look at where they're at currently in terms of their position, their status, their form, and also what we can expect to see from them going ahead towards next year, 2021. So just to preface this, I normally did match reviews going back a month or two ago, and I did kind of fall off from that because it was a bit depressing because Arsenal were losing every single game, and over the course of the last month or two, it was kind of the same things were being discussed again, the same debates, the same arguments, the same perspectives, just constantly being spoken over again and again. It kind of became a bit of a redundant point with Arsenal, a bit of a redundant discussion. You know, we were always talking about the same players that we thought always should go, the lack of goals from all over the team, the issues with Ozil, the issues with Aubameyang, the issues with the back four. Should Arteta have been employed in the first place? He lacks the experience. He lacks the discipline. You know, the issues with Xhaka, the issues with Pepe. It was just a never-ending kind of merry-go-round in terms of what was going on with the club. It's always been the case for me is that we all know what's wrong with Arsenal. It's a case of the people in charge don't address the issues of Arsenal. They don't address the flaws. They never remedy what needs to be done at Arsenal. And I think that's something that's gone on really going way back in terms of Wenger years, in terms of the last 4 or 5 years, I would say, within the Wenger reign, and then it continued with Emery, and it's also continued with Arteta. So that's really why, in a nutshell, I haven't been doing the match reviews consistently as I used to. I think the last one I did was the win over Man United, but yeah, it's just been a depressing run of form. Recently, of course, things have picked up recently because we had wins over Chelsea, a very good 3-1 win over Chelsea, and also a 1-0 win over Brighton away as well. So things have slightly picked up, and Arsenal have, you know, there's a bit more optimism about the place. As we all know, we never get carried away with this because that optimism could quickly turn into depression again. So currently we look at the position, they're sitting 13th, now 20 points, having played 16 games. So yeah, in terms of where Arsenal used to be and the standards that were used to held at Arsenal, no, that's not very good, despite the fact that they've won the last 2 games. So in many ways, it doesn't really progress anything further if we constantly talk about how things used to be and where we used to hold over the Premier League, especially where we were winning Premier Leagues and challenging for trophies. It kind of just feels a bit regressive to constantly talk about what went on before. We really need to focus now on where we can go forward in terms of the league, and maybe we can experience another cup run in terms of the FA Cup, because of course we got knocked out of the Carabao Cup to Man City, losing 4-1, and really the future of the club going forward for next year and the year after and the year after that. So in terms of the short-term answer to that, really, I think the answer is to kind of pick up more points and get a good consistency. I think the next couple of games are the likes of West Brom and Crystal Palace and Newcastle. So really now, if this short rejuvenation of form is to be more substantial, then yes, you would be looking to get at least maybe 7 points out of 9 out of those next couple of games, and we'd like to see a good run of performances and shoot back up the table to maybe even consider maybe getting back into, as embarrassingly as it sounds, maybe the top 8 or the top 7. We'd obviously want to see Aubameyang scoring again. That's another big talking point. You know, ever since he signed that contract extension, he just hasn't been scoring. The only goal he scored was that own goal against Burnley. It was 1-2. That was the last time he scored that own goal. We've had this so many times with Arsenal. A player hits form and they kind of become the supposed talisman of the club, to the point where everybody feels, well, if that player leaves, then everything's going to go under. So everything is done to keep the player at the club. You know, lots of adulation and increasing their salary, and then once they get that extension in their contract, once they get that higher wage, they then fall off form. You know, people will talk about this. Yes, we've had this with Ozil. At times we had this with Fabregas, Van Persie. We used to notoriously have it with Walcott. I can remember multiple seasons when Walcott will play into form, get his contract extension in January and then fall off again. So this is nothing new. Again, it's that superstar complex about Arsenal. So that's one thing we want to see, is Aubameyang scoring goals at the right end, presumably this time. Also, the defensive issues, again, they're still there, you know, Holding, Mustafi, they still not good enough. Gabriel has been a good signing for Arsenal. Yes, he's made a few flaws, a few mistakes in some games, but, you know, he's still integrated into the team. And again, he, for me, will only be better if he's surrounded by high quality defenders. So if you can get much more of a stronger defence, then I think Gabriel will improve even more as a player. Thomas Partey, again, we will need to see him kind of re-establish his presence in the midfield and really become that strong defensive midfielder, protecting the back four that we all want to see from him. Again, the likes of Saka, despite the improvement in his performance against Chelsea, that great free kick that he scored, he's still not good enough for me. I think still discipline problems. And I don't think he contributes enough in terms of assists, in terms of goals, and in terms of protection of the back four. I just don't think he makes a worthwhile contribution to the team. Again, Ceballos, very on and off. In spades, he can maybe create an impact, but I think overall, again, I don't think he's good enough to sustain performance, but he's a lone move as well. So again, Arteta really needs to sort out players that can reinforce and strengthen that midfield. Yes, we have got potential in youngsters, whether it's Saka, whether it's Willock, and Nketiah, but they need a consistent run in the team, and they seem to be in and out. You know, they score a goal or two here, and then we don't see them for another 3 or 4 games, and we just need to see them get a consistent run of form. If we can start predicting that they'll be the future of Arsenal, I'm still not convinced by any of them, to be honest. Probably the most impressive performer in terms of the youngsters is probably Saka. Again, I think he's got that potential to really produce end product consistently for the team. So can he get a consistent run? We'll wait and see. I still think Lacazette can contribute towards the team. I still think that he works hard, and I think if he plays enough games and he can find that combination, that he can contribute with more goals. A lot of people have alluded to the fact that maybe he complements well with Martinelli, who of course we want to see come back into the team and get another consistent form, because he is one of the players that I think excites a lot of fans. A lot of people see a lot of energy and a lot of skill from him, and they feel again that he can be that really high creative spark that can provide us with much more goals and productivity up front. As forever, the Ozil issue will just hang over us. I think we can all agree that we just need to get rid of him at this point. Haven't heard too much, as maybe there'll be some forward movement in January as to there's any clubs coming in wanting to acquire his services. We'll wait and see. I would like to think that they could just confirm his departure in January, get him out the door, and then we can move forward with in terms of his replacement, and Arteta can kind of reconfigure his formation and look to get that creative spark in the midfield that we badly need. So there's not too much more on the Ozil front, but we just have to wait and see. Hopefully we can just, like I said, just confirm his departure and just get him out the door, get him out the way and move forward. I still think Tierney is a good player, and okay, maybe a bit inconsistent, but I think he is investing in the team. I think he's passionate about the club. I do think he gives committed performances to the team, so I'd like to keep him staying around. Now, I know a lot of people, they don't like Bellerin and they think Bellerin should go. I think a lot of that as well is the fact that Bellerin spoke out against the fan base a while back, centering on the fact that he felt that they were generating too much negativity, and I think that's backlash over the player. I think that's followed through, and I think that's why a lot of people really don't connect with the player. I still think he can make a contribution to the team, but again, he has to get that consistency into play as well. So we'll wait and see if we get any forward development in terms of Bellerin. But yeah, I just think Arteta has just got a big job in terms of who wants to stay, who wants to go. I don't think it's worth sacking him now. If we just finally concentrate on his position, I just don't think so. I think if you were going to do it, you should have done it a couple of months ago. Then you could have brought another manager in who would have had time to assess the team, assess what he needed to add to the squad, and then he could have made signings in January. But I just don't think there's no point now. Even if, let's say, Arsenal go on another bad run and they lose the next 4 or 5 games, I don't think it's worth sacking him now. I think really, in terms of the league, you just need to write the league off and just let things play out as they are. If you're thinking about replacing Arteta, I think they'd want to start interviewing now with the intention of letting the manager start off next season. A lot of people were predicting Arsenal are not going to get relegated. Whether they will, that's not going to happen. Arsenal are not going to get relegated this season. On the basis of the fact that the teams below them are just so poor that by default, I think if Arsenal lost 5 games, the teams below them would lose the next 7 games. And Arsenal just have to make sure they perform better than the teams below them and they won't go down. So I don't think the relegation is ever a possibility. So I think the best thing to do is just to keep Arteta in a position for now, let things play out. If he can show any signs of improvement or any potential at the end of the season, then that's when they can debate and maybe think about keeping him. Me personally, I would like to get to the end of the season and think that the club were at least considering looking for a more experienced manager who could come in and maybe take the club to another level. And hopefully the club will be able to back him, because an experienced manager will be looking for sufficient funds as he looks to really shape in and shape out all the players that need to come in and all the players that need to go. So that's what I would expect to see at the end of the season. So I just think, as I mentioned at the start of this video, there's no point in having these endless debates. Of course, we can criticise the performance of the team and the manager by each game. Of course we do. But I think in terms of what happens next season, I think it's a bit of a case of we just need to let it play out. Let it play out now. And we're not going to qualify for Champions League. I very much doubt we're going to get in Europa League spots unless we win the tournament, which has shown in the last couple of years that, yes, okay, we can get to quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, but we can never just see it through. So I think let the season play out. By all means, if you want to, let Arteta sit through the rest of the season, and then you can say, right, we've given him 2 seasons, right, before you then look to replace him in the summer. Because I've always felt that Emery was premature in his sacking. Yes, we did feel the form was bad back then, but when you compare it to now, it looks a lot better back when Emery was in charge, right? So I think let's at least give Arteta to the end of the season, unless we fall into the bottom 3, which I don't think we will. Let's give him to the end of the season, and then we can then look forward to then getting a much more of an experienced manager in, and who will then hopefully be a lot more swift in his decision making, a lot more disciplined with the treatment of the players, identify quickly who needs to stay, who needs to go, be able to walk in there with more authority with the board and decide that he does need funding, and be able to really be much more decisive in what players he wants to bring in, and then we can look forward for the years after that. I think that's the best way to go right now. So just let's keep this ship steady at this point, and then we can move forward certainly within the next year or 2 years and look forward on the upper horizon in long run. So those are my thoughts quickly on Arsenal and the future and where they lie for 2021 and beyond. I will try and keep up more up to date with the match reviews and updates as I go ahead in the future. But as I said, it's kind of got a bit of a redundant discussion. You kind of talk over the same things, and I don't feel at this case I'm going to keep continually making video after video about Arsenal. As you know, within this channel I cover a lot more than just football as well. So I'll probably do a much more of a summary, maybe a week or 2 weekly summary of where the clubs are at and the progress it's making. But let me know in the comments below if you want me to make more regular videos concerning Arsenal football in general, then I will do as well. But as of right now, I think let's just steady the ship and see what happens, see what Arteta does next season. Hopefully we can enjoy a good cup run and just make some progress in terms of the league and just further up in terms of the position overall. But I don't think he should be sacked now. I think that decision should have been made a couple of weeks ago. Let's just keep it as it is for now, keep it steady, and we'll see what happens in the future. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Please hit and like those subscribe buttons and help me grow this channel and provide more high content for you in the future. I will provide more videos regarding football as well, so don't worry about that. But that's it for now. Those are my thoughts on Arsenal and their potential going ahead for 2021. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's it for now. Stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.